Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular council meeting for Wednesday, January 28th. Welcome to our audience that is here tonight, and to staff and to members of council and those that are watching online. Thank you very much for that. I'd like to advise you that this meeting is being audio, video recorded and live streamed on the Town of Innisfil's YouTube channel and shall form part of the record, which will be retained in accordance with the town's retention bylaw. And I'll now ask the Deputy Mayor if he'd please read our land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Town of Innisfil acknowledges that Innisfil is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history. The town also acknowledges that this land is the traditional territories of the First People of Turtle Island. It is shared between the Anishinaabe people of Beausoleil First Nation, Chippewas of Rama First Nation, and Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation, and we thank them for generations of stewardship. This meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people, and as settlers, we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. The town acknowledges the forced sacrifices that are the foundation of Canadian society today. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit.
Thank you very much. And now we'll go to item 2, which is the open forum. We've had nobody sign up for open forum this evening, which takes us to item 3, which is approval of the agenda. The agenda that was circulated 1 week ago and put up on our website. Could I please have a mover and a seconder, please, to approve the agenda as printed? Moved by Councillor Ices and seconded by Councillor Saunders. All those in favor? That is carried. Next, I'll ask if there's any disclosures of pecuniary interest this evening.
I do.
Councillor Constantine.
I am declaring a pecuniary interest for the meeting held on January 14 and tonight at 5:30, which I did not attend as required under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Any other declarations for this evening? Seeing none, we'll go to presentations and petitions, and I do have a special presentation this evening. I'm going to go use the mic on the floor so that the cameras will follow me, so people that are sitting at home can watch as well. We have a special guest with us tonight, local Innisfil resident and owner of 9 Round Fitness, Tiki Akinsami, recently received a Global Leadership Award for Women in Tech at the Women in Tech Global Awards in Paris, France, at the end of 2025. Titi is Google's global AI policy lead and was recognized for her leadership in policy development on responsible AI and data governance, as well as her critical role her work plays in ensuring that technology benefits everyone. I want to congratulate Titi on her award and express how inspiring she is to our community. Having met her and her husband at their local business almost 6 years ago today, I'm always impressed by your ability to excel in a demanding and competitive field while running a successful small business. Congratulations. And in your own words, you can do all things when you're surrounded by the right community. Correct. Congratulations, Titi. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. Did you want to say a few words?
Okay. First off is thank you to every single ward and citizen of Innisfil represented here. I don't take it for granted. 1, as a resident. 2, as someone who runs a business locally, and as someone who has been here for, I think, upwards of 10 years now. It's deeply appreciated. To my community that showed up here, and to the ones watching online, I'm not sure where the camera is, I deeply appreciate your support. What else can I say? Technology is a double-edged sword. Every opportunity I get, I will say a word or two about it. It is what you as a human being choose to do with it, but most of all, the knowledge that you are determined to get to be able to use it right. I have been privileged to be able to do this for 25 years. The recognition is deeply appreciated. To my husband, thank you. To my kids represented here, my family appreciate you. Most of all, though, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I won't trade that. So thank you very much, Mayor. I was not expecting this, so I deeply appreciate it. To every one of you, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Take some pictures. I'm not sure which one it is.
Would you like a picture with your fan club?
Absolutely, why not? I have a big fan club with me
So
today.
Titi's now going to have a picture with her fan club. Come on up here.
Thank you. You gonna come? He's a true Innisfil bond, so, in the height of COVID. You gonna hold it like this? Yeah, jacket's up. You gonna hold it for mommy? You gonna look at the lady? Area, you come. Area, come. One of your phones, thank you so much.
You?
Yes, I'd like one with the council, please, if you'll indulge me. Same. And yeah, is there.
Otherwise, I'm out of here.
No, you stand up, just stand up.
Jack, you want that?
Yeah, there's room on both sides.
Might just have to move back, right? Camera.
Is that your camera?
Yeah, that's it.
Let's start with me.
Yeah, thank you.
Wide lens. We'll get everybody in. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's taking video. 1, 2, 3. 1 more.
Merci beaucoup à tu.
Are we good? One more.
One more.
One for the road.
Are you okay?
Grace, I need you to unlock.
What are we looking at? That's for Grace. I can see the G.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. Yeah. Oh, did I? Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Thank you.
This one is yours, right?
Thank you,
this
sir.
way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maya. I will be back.
I didn't say hello. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night. Now, we know our council meetings are riveting, but you absolutely are welcome to go on with your evening and have a lovely evening. Thank you. Next, we have a recommendation to accept the award, that the award's been received, moved by Councillor Richardson and seconded by Councillor Constantine. All those in favor? That is carried. Next, we have delegations by members of the public. This is item 6.1, and tonight we're very pleased to have a report from our Council Compensation Review Ad Hoc Committee. And so I would now invite Ms. Elliott. And I believe we might also at least have one member who's on screen. Oh, we have two members on screen if they want to have their video turned on. That would be appropriate. Whenever you're ready.
Perfect. I'll just, thank you, ladies. If I get into trouble, I'll give you the high sign. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening. My name is Kathy Elliott. I am the chair of the Council Compensation Ad Hoc Committee. I'm here this evening to provide an overview of the report to Council that is on the agenda and which contains the committee's recommendations for Council remuneration for the 2026 to 2030 term. It worked. The Council Compensation Ad Hoc Committee is comprised of three volunteer members, myself, Andrea Neeson, who you will see on the screen, and Mo Obembe. And Mo is on the screen as well. Thanks, ladies, for showing up. I appreciate it. This committee was supported by Clerk Services and ad hoc assistance from People and Talent Division. Members of the committee have experience in both the public and the private sectors and possess extensive knowledge in the areas of administration, strategic planning, and human resources. In June 2025, Council directed staff to recruit and select community volunteers with the purpose of reviewing and recommending remuneration and benefits for Council for the 2026 to 2030 term of office. Over a series of 6 meetings, the committee members, with the support from Clerk Services, established our criteria for compiling a list of comparator municipalities. The data was utilized to support the mandate of the committee and create an independent report that is before you today for your consideration. The last total compensation review for Council took place for the 2018 to 2022 term. Since then, the town of Innisfil has continued to address opportunities and challenges of growth and development pressures within its boundaries. With this in mind, it was crucial for the committee to work towards recommendations that met specific principles. Recommendations are to be respectful and accountable to the taxpayer. Recommendations are to be fair, appropriate, and current to the responsibilities of holding public office. And finally, recommendations need to consider the value of supporting and having the ability to attract a strong and diverse pool of candidates for Council. The committee reviewed previous data and analysis used in earlier reports to Council to begin its work. This review included data from comparator municipalities. As you will note, the report to Council provides specific detail regarding the methodology that the committee undertook to create the list of comparator municipalities. Specific characteristics were identified using data from previous committees. These characteristics were weighted to provide scoring. The scoring identified how similar a comparator municipality was to the characteristics in Innisfil. The characteristics this committee considered were population, which was felt to be the most important at 50% of the overall score, urban-rural mix, which was 30% of the overall score, and geoproximity to Innisfil, which was 20% of the overall score. The committee, although we recognize that we have a position of deputy mayor, we felt very strongly about the fact that we wanted to exclude municipalities that did not have that position. We felt there was a likeness in culture that we wanted to ensure that we were comparing. So rather than scoring or providing a scoring input, we only included those comparator municipalities who had the position of deputy mayor. The committee utilized the opportunity to seek input from the current council via an anonymous survey to gain a better understanding of the current work elements and the effort required to complete work duties. Clerk Services gathered data and completed analysis to determine the final list of comparator municipalities as well as providing information regarding percentile ranges for consideration. What you will see in front of you is the comparator list that we have come up with, and that has been put together after review of the data, which included various spreadsheets, which are in the report and are incredibly detailed. A comparator list, as you see, is in front of you on the screen. The scores to the right show how similar these municipalities are to Innisfil, with a score of 3.0 being very similar, and again, as we go down with less similarity. Again, Clerk Services, on behalf of the committee, gathered remuneration data from this list of municipalities, and this was presented to our committee, including potential percentile ranges. As indicated earlier, the committee's goal was to recommend a strategy that is not only respectful to taxpayers, but fairly recognizes the responsibilities and community contributions of council. After reviewing the data and keeping in mind the committee principles and mandate, the committee has recommended a mid-range of the 50th percentile, which translates into the recommended remuneration changes that you will see in this chart. These are included in the report as well. In addition, In addition to remuneration changes, the committee considered the current benefits received by council as part of the total council compensation package. These benefits are listed on the screen in front of you. The committee has recommended that there are no changes that will occur to these particular areas. The committee has two final recommendations. We respectfully recommend that our council remuneration recommendations, if approved, take effect on November 15th, 2026, the first day of the 2026 council. In addition, the committee respectfully recommends the establishment of a council remuneration committee for the 2030-2034 term, or as directed by council. In closing, the committee extends its thanks to council members who participated in the survey. Your input was incredibly helpful for us to understand the work that you do on a daily basis. We appreciate and support that how you understanding your roles were able to allow us to do our job better. As well, the committee extends its thanks to Clerk Services for their support with the process. The data gathering and analysis was critical to the completion of our responsibilities in a timely fashion. And finally, on behalf of the committee, we would like to thank Council for the opportunity to participate in this work and provide service to the community of Innisfil in this endeavor. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chair Elliott, and to members Neeson and Obembe for volunteering your time and your talents and your professionalism on this very important initiative. As we are drawing closer and closer to the end of this council term and the next municipal election, and we are working very hard to encourage our residents to consider putting their name on the ballot, one of the big considerations that people need to make is whether or not they can, this reimbursement is something that they can live on. So, or have as an extended, because it is still considered a part-time job. So it's important for us to get this information out to the public quick, so this can be part of a decision process that people make before they make that decision to put their name on the ballot. So it's a very important job, and you've volunteered to do it, and we very much appreciate the time that you've put into that. And I'll go to members of council for questions or comments. And I'm seeing none. So you've obviously done a very good job. The
Stunned you
report.
into silence. My husband
You
would be
did,
shocked.
you did, but the report goes into such depth that it'd be hard to come up with a question that wasn't already answered in the report. So I thank you very much for all the work that you've done and for being here this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'll go to council to have a mover and a seconder, please, for the recommendation that is on the screen and to adopt this for the newly elected members of council in November 15th. Moved by Councillor Waters. Oh, you have a question? Sorry, go ahead, Councillor Waters.
Because this is also on the consent list, is this the vote for to accept this as council for the new council, or does it happen under the consent list?
Clerk Marshall?
Thank you, Your Worship. This item is not included on the consent motion this evening, so it would be appropriate to consider now.
So we're repealing the old bylaw effective the 15th and approving the new one.
So that means that we'd be accepting this increase as it's stated.
Yes. Not us, the next council.
I agree, yes. But, so my question is that normally I would have expected this to fall on the consent list and we would have pulled it. So I want to pull it into. There is.
So B2 is your is the summary report from the ad hoc committee. So that's the minutes from the ad hoc committee. So if you wanted to have any discussion about changing anything, now is the time.
I'd like to pull it then, please. Thank you.
So you speak to it now because we haven't gone into committee of the whole yet, so go ahead.
Okay.
Whatever it is, any questions or comments or changes that you feel you'd like to make, now is the time, Councillor.
So first of all, I want to say thank you very much for the report. I think it's fair. I have a small recommendation that I'd like to make for the report, and that would be that I'd like to see that the defer the increase until the second half of the budget from 27, 28 to 29, 30. And for a couple of reasons. One is that council had decided last time to reduce the levy this time around by taking from reserves. My concern is that impacts the 27, 28 budget. So that since there's going to be additional stress on the budget in 27, 28, I'd like to just defer this to the following budget to 29, 30. The other thing too is that at the county level, there was a huge increase of 128% to the county council, of which we were all okay with. You know, the deputy mayor voted himself an increase of 128%, but then they didn't cut the numbers from 32 down to 16. So now we have a double of those salaries that have to be paid there. So for those reasons, for that we discussed taxpayers are paying for this, is that we just kick it down the road to the following budget where we don't have the pressures on the 27, 28 for a brand new budget. So my recommendation would be to defer that increase to the 29, 30 budget year.
And do you have a seconder for that?
Jennifer.
Thank you. And do you have some wording that you could give to the clerk's office?
I was hoping the new staff would pick that one up really quick. So it says in recommendation number 2 that it would commence on November 15th. So move that to November 15th, 2028. So it's just a small increase, so a change.
So while clerks is getting that up and running, I just want to make sure Madam Clerk, we didn't already have a mover and a seconder, right? So this would not be a revised recommendation. This would be the recommendation as presented. Okay, so with questions and comments on the recommendation to not put this increase through until November 15th, 2028. Questions or comments? Councillor Drodge.
Thanks, Your Worship. I really wish Councillor Waters didn't use the terminology "kick it down the road," because I was all in favor of supporting this. I'm still going to support it, but not for those reasons. We're going through some tough times. There's some things coming on, and we need to keep a tight ship here at Town Hall. So I support deferring this to 2028 simply because we don't need any increase in our wages or operational costs or anything for that matter because of what's currently happening in the world. So I support it for that reason.
Other questions or comments? Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Your Worship. I understand Councillor Waters' sentiment, but I also, like Councillor Drodge, liked the original motion. And my main reason for that, in the process that this town has taken over the years, it's allowed current councils to stay out of making a bylaw that gave themselves a raise, more or less. You know, you mentioned that process going on at the county. I know that has happened in other municipalities. So my question to the discussion, possibly to Councillor Waters, are we not, by passing this motion, suggesting that the next council is voting themselves a raise?
Councillor Waters?
No, I don't think so. I think because we're voting on that now, they will get the raise. They're not going to vote on not getting the raise or getting the raise. We're voting on that now for the next council. All I'm asking is it be deferred 2 years to get us through the 27-28 budget, which there's going to be a lot of pressures on. Move it to the following. So they're going to get it. We're not changing that tradition. We're just, and they're going to still get the raise. It's just going to happen in a year which there'll be less pressures on.
Go ahead, Clerk Marshall.
Thank you, Your Worship. So just to weigh in on the conversation happening, the amendment is, as drafted, is shown on the screen. So it would read that the bylaw be adopted as amended to come into effect for the 2029-2030 budget. And then the current bylaw would not be repealed until November 15th, 2028. So that is something that council today would vote on. It wouldn't be the new term of council voting on that.
Thank you for that. Councillor Ices.
I guess I'm a little confused when councils vote on a budget. Is not everything wide open to be voted on? Also wages. Would a bylaw that spoke to a budget overrule this bylaw if council desired? I'm not sure who I would address that to, but that's the thought process that comes to mind, that ultimately council has the decision on the budget, and this bylaw seems to be more of a suggestion, maybe. I'm trying to think it through as Councillor Waters has brought this kind of. This is a different situation that I'm trying to understand.
Mr. Gershow?
So the clerk will correct me if I make a mistake, but I think the basic idea is council compensation is set through a bylaw. When that bylaw is changed, then the compensation changes. So the proposal on the floor is saying make that change in 2028, which effectively means it's being considered as a going-in element of the 2029-2030 budget. I think, Councillor Ices, you're correct that a budget could revise that bylaw as you're having that wider conversation, so it would not necessarily be carved in stone forever. But if council passed this bylaw tonight, the going-in assumption in the preparation of the 2029-30 budget would be that we would have this new council compensation as contemplated in the report.
Councillor Ices?
Just one more question, and this is on a different part of the conversation. Do we have a financial number on the impact of what this amount would be going into the 2027 budget that we're saving to go to the 2029 budget?
I'm looking at Treasurer Webb.
Through you, Mayor Dolan, to Council Ices. Well, I don't have an exact number. I mean, if you look at the increase from one year to the next, it's relatively small as compared to the town's total operating budget. And so if you consider that as the percentage of the town's total operating budget, it's going to be a fairly small number. You're not going to, it's not a significant impact to the town's overall budget. And I think, if I recall correctly, when the county council numbers were being considered, that was a question. And, you know, we did some calculations and that the impact to the average homeowner was relatively small.
Councillor Waters?
Thanks for that explanation. And I was going to suggest that because I remember when the deputy mayor defended that increase, and we were all aghast by the fact that there was that increase. The deputy mayor did say it's only a certain percentage of the overall budget, but that wasn't the point of the fact that, you know, it was a large number that we were all upset by, and that even the mayor didn't vote on that as well. So I think the percentage is for me, anyways, I'm not going to speak for anyone, is a moot point. It's the fact that, you know, that the 27-28 budget is going to be under stress, and I would just like to defer it to 28. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Saunders?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Icy stole my question, but I just want to say thank you to the ad hoc committee. They did a great job, answered a lot of questions and stuff like that, and I hope we do see them back for in our next council term to do another review.
Thank you. Here's my take on this. You know, we've done such a good job over the last, I want to say 3 or 4 council terms of depoliticizing council remuneration. When we came up with this idea of having an independent committee do calculations and comparators and come back and recommend, after many meetings, recommend what the next council term should get paid. Ever since we've done that, I've not had one resident come up to me and complain about council remuneration or how it was done. Unfortunately, it got hijacked at the County of Simcoe this year. That was the same thing was to be done. It was to be set for the next council term, and then a member of council said, well, why don't we, you know, phase it in over 3 years? And unfortunately that passed and it became politics. It politicized that. My issue with this resolution is it's doing, in my mind, exactly the same thing. It's politicizing in a different way by not giving instead of giving, but it's still making a political point as opposed to setting a number. And again, not a number for us, but a number for the next council to bank on, so that somebody who is literally thinking that, you know, they'd like to participate, that they'd like to be in one of these chairs and consider it, they need to know what that means as far as expenses, remuneration, how that's going to impact their life. So my worry about this is we're going back to making this a political thing instead of just setting a number for the next council, and that makes me a little uncomfortable. I want to take the politics out of this and just set the number for the next council. And again, don't want to disrespect the 3 members who put so much time and effort into doing this. And I do understand that we are we're always going to be under constraint as far as budgets are concerned. But I think that there's much more effective ways than saving whatever it was, be under $20,000 a year in like a $60 million budget. I think there's better ways to help the taxpayer than this. Councillor Gershow, CAO Gershow.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. Just a quick comment of clarification. So on page 7 of the report is a table that compares the current honorarium to the proposed. So just using rounded off, quick math kind of numbers, if you look at the councillor row, the increase proposed is about $3,000, so that times 7 ward councillors. The deputy mayor is about 2,000 more, mayor is about, let's say, 4,000 more. If you just take that rough math, that adds up to $27,000 per year net increase in that compensation.
In a total operating budget, Treasurer Webb?
Let's call it 60 million.
So to me, it's a statement versus it's a political statement. It comes out to me as a political statement versus a sound financial decision. So I'm going to be voting against the amendment. Thank you. Councillor Waters?
This shows no disrespect for the work that was done, because I agree the compensation is fair. I think the recommendation is good. I'm just delaying it a year. So so it's not politicizing. They're still getting their increase. They know they're going to get that increase. They know what the salary is going to be. It's just going to be delayed 2 years. So I'm just asking for the delay of 2 years to get past. It's a small amount, but so was the amount at county, and we are all aghast by it. And we stated that here. So it's kind of the same thing. So I put the recommendation up there. Everyone can vote the way they want. And as I say, it's not politics. It's just because everyone still gets what they were promised. And they walk into it eyes wide open. Thank you.
Thank you. So I will call the vote, but I would just have one stipulation. The thing that makes it different is at county voted themselves a raise, and this is not voting this council a raise. This is taking money out of the next council. So that would be the difference for me. And I'm not seeing any more hands, so I will call the vote on the amended recommendation to have the remuneration increased starting in 2028. All those in favor? All those opposed? That is defeated. Did we have a mover and a seconder for the original motion? Councillor Zanella and Councillor Ices. All those in favor? All those opposed? That is carried. Thank you, everyone. Good discussion. Next, we'll item 7, which is County Council. Any associations, any committees that you have been appointed to by council and would like to give us an update on? And I will thank again the members of the committee for being here tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you. Councillor Richardson.
Last week, I attended the Roma conference with some of my fellow councillors. I attended a couple of really great sessions and took away some really great takeaways. One of them was the rural road safety session, and it spoke to the challenges of rural road issues like higher speeds, longer response times, and natural hazards, and they shared some ideas of how to overcome them. The other two sessions that I really enjoyed was getting accurate information to residents, which shared ideas of forms of communications with residents and possible online campaigns. The final one that I enjoyed was unpacking the implications of the new code of conduct, which shared some really interesting stats and information on the code of conduct and its rules. I also attended a library board meeting last Monday night. We had a presentation from Rachel Sesby, I think was the last name, from Simcoe County, and she spoke of the Workplace Inclusion Charter, which was really great. It was lots of information. We also got an update on the renovations of the children's area, and just a reminder of the Buy a Shelf, Build a Future campaign. There's still time to buy your shelf.
Thank you, Councillor. I keep every meeting, I write that down and then it goes out of my head. Thank you. Other members that have boards or committees to report on? Councillor Drudge.
Thanks, Your Worship. So not everybody knows, but I'm on the board of the Lake Simcoe Conservation Authority, and we just recently had our AGM. And during this AGM, we had a video played to us for all of the accomplishments that we've went through in 2025. So I would ask if the clerk could play that video so everybody could see it.
In 2025, determination guided our every decision. Even when change is constant and challenges arise, our purpose remains clear. We protect, restore, and strengthen our watershed for people, for nature, and for the future. Grounded in science, rooted in collaboration, focused on results. We protect what matters. We act with purpose, and we deliver with impact. This was a year of steady progress, bold conservation action, and unwavering commitment to Lake Simcoe and the communities we serve. Here are some highlights. 69% of our full-time staff have worked with us for over 5 years, bringing deep experience to our services. And with voluntary turnover at just 4.3%, less than half the national average, we deliver continuity for partners and funders. We celebrated 23 Conservation Award recipients, local heroes inspiring action across our watershed. Across all social media accounts, our content reached 1.8 million impressions, drove 2,434 shares, and sparked 15,587 reactions. Over 150 media stories kept watershed protection in public conversation. 230,000 visitors explored our popular conservation areas, strengthening their connection to nature. And over 1,600 volunteers joined 44 community events, amplifying restoration and stewardship across the region. 20 municipalities, 2 First Nations, 4 other conservation authorities, and 2 environmental organizations used our climate change science, guiding future-ready decisions. 74% of restoration projects increase biodiversity, and 76% of them address climate change stressors, building resilience for species and communities. 22% of projects reduce sediment movement, protecting water quality and reducing erosion. We delivered 113 climate change-focused education programs, building a solid foundation for future conservationists. We protect more than 2,150 hectares of vital watershed land, preserving habitats and natural flood defenses. We funded 106 restoration projects and restored 36.3 hectares of land. We processed 3,297 regulation applications and inquiries to guide responsible development. We completed 288 permit compliance checks to uphold conservation standards. We completed 464 engineering, 265 hydrogeology, and 105 natural heritage reviews, helping shape sustainable growth, and issued 13 watershed flood messages, keeping communities informed and safe. We led source water protection, where partners addressed 100% of pre-existing threats, another milestone for secure drinking water. We inspected 183 stormwater facilities, including stormwater ponds and low-impact development features, reducing flood risk and improving water quality. And with our partners, we trained 421 professionals, delivering stormwater best practices across southern Ontario. We distributed 10,850 trees and shrubs through our DIY program. An additional 54,244 trees and shrubs were planted across the watershed, expanding urban canopy and increasing resilience of our communities. We assessed 259 plots and 5,830 trees, guiding healthier urban forests. We monitored 9 bat structures, with 3 bats residing in them. Out of 200 structures across Ontario, ours are the only ones that have bats living in them. We collected 350 samples from the lake for the Food Web project, advancing ecosystem research. On our data portal, we maintained 86 monitoring stations with 22 parameters, powering decisions for staff, researchers, and municipalities. We spent 273 hours on open water monitoring to understand Lake Simcoe conditions. And we captured over 50 billion elevation points with advanced laser sensing, improving flood prediction and watershed planning. Through 13,342 student engagements, we brought environmental learning to classrooms and communities, turning curiosity into action. We had 6,521 students take part in our outreach programming in schools, and 2,131 students took part in them virtually. An additional 4,690 participants visited Scanlon Creek Nature Center, weaving nature into everyday experiences. And program participants spent 33,139 hours learning outdoors, building a lifelong connection to conservation. We welcomed almost 2,000 participants in our summer camps, municipal camps, and community events, creating strong links between health and nature. 292 educators participated in 9 professional development opportunities, extending our impact across the region. And construction is underway for our new Nature Center, opening September 2026, an environmental hub for education, conservation, and community. Determination keeps us moving forward. Lake Simcoe is a shared responsibility. With our government, Indigenous, and community partners, we made real progress in 2025. The continued support of our board of directors, the Lake Simcoe Conservation Foundation, and our dedicated staff set us up to achieve our goals. And yet, our work continues. Together, we will continue to protect, build resilience, and strengthen this extraordinary watershed for today, tomorrow, and generations to come.
Thanks for that. I just wanted to point out, I could be wrong, but I think the beginning of that video has a special young lady. I can't remember your daughter's name, but it's our own Nicole Bowman's daughter that's featuring at the beginning of that movie. Could you say your name so everybody knows it?
That's Ann Bowman.
Ann Bowman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Drodge. That was very, it's a lot that got done in 1 year. And I just want to thank you and Councillor Ices for both for taking care of our Conservation Authority duties. Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Worship. I just wanted to have a report on our other conservation authority, the Nomissaga Valley Conservation Authority. I think that video really highlights how conservation authorities work locally in the watershed to improve it. At our last NVCA meeting, there was considerable discussion about the proposed amalgamation that the province is working through. There was some delegations at Roma to further understand where the province is going with conservation authorities. They currently are trying to moved from 32 conservation authorities that are based on like distinct watersheds to 7 in the province. And it's hard to imagine the local input that we have with our local ones happening in such large regions that they're proposing. From the delegations at Roma, some of our member municipalities were assured by the province that there would be local input into these issues, but they didn't say how. So we're waiting for some answers on that. It's very interesting how the more things change, the more they stay the same. A town like Amaranth, in the new structure, so currently they have 3 conservation authorities. We have 2. In the new structure, they will still be in 3 different regions because of the way the water, the headwaters in Amaranth moved to all the different lakes. So you can imagine being a member in NVCA. I believe there's 16 municipalities. Like Amaranth will be a member of 80 in one and probably similar in the other. And so real concerns about the costs that are involved with this. All these costs for the amalgamation will be downloaded to the municipalities. If you think of the Toronto Conservation Authority area, that their area isn't changed in the amalgamation, so the costs over rebranding and whatnot that will have to happen, all of that is just downloaded to municipalities. So bigger isn't always better, and so we're going to continue to have these discussions with the province at that level to try and understand where this is going. So that's my update from NVCA.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have any updates from any boards or commissions that they were sitting on? Councillor George?
Thanks, Roy. I just wanted to respond with Councillor Icey's. I couldn't agree more with your comments, and I actually want to show this video because the LSRCA is so dedicated to Lake Simcoe specifically and the surrounding waters that are very twined with Lake Simcoe. I couldn't imagine having to pull their resources over to, like, say, Lake Erie, which is in part of our region, and have to use their, I guess, their hours or their workmanship in other areas where we're so dedicated to ours and the hours we put into just our little area. I think joining regions and joining all these conservations together, I think it will hurt a conservation like the Lake Simcoe Conservation Authority because we're very much specific. We don't spread over too many municipalities. We stay very much in we do spread over the municipalities that are surrounding to Lake Simcoe. We don't spread out of that. So I couldn't agree more. I struggle with the 7 regions.
So we're having a few technical difficulties there, but Kevin, for some reason, every time I pushed my speak button, it went to your microphone. So it was me causing that to happen. I apologize to you. So I'll just give a quick update from County Council, which happened yesterday. A couple of highlights. There was, for 1 year now, the paramedic service has used their new MPDS, which is a new dispatching system designed so that more higher emergencies get to faster and not emergencies may have to wait a little longer. And we got the update and all the numbers and stats for a year's service yesterday. And it's good news. It's working, and the paramedics team's very happy with it. I'll be interested at some point to hear from Innisfil Fire and Emergency Services how it's working with the relationship between paramedics and emergency services. We also did get a presentation from what used to be called Ontario Works, which is now called Community Support and Wellbeing, and how they've transformed to try to be more responsive and flexible in helping people get back on their feet faster and more confidently. And it was a really good presentation and helped me understand how they're transforming to be more people-centered and not just fill in this form and get in a line. And then I think the most heartwarming was a community partnership with the long-term care teams. So there's long-term care residents that are making soup. So the staff and the residents make the soup and provide the soup to local shelters or food banks. And it's really making the residents enjoy, that they're helpful and contributing to society still. And so now they're looking at some of the long-term care homes also making meals, because a long-term care home can make a lot of meals efficiently and at a very low cost, so they can supply those meals to shelters much cheaper than the shelter could provide those meals. And then finally, we had a presentation from the Women's Institute, Simcoe County Women's Institute, giving us an update because the Tequiguel Women's Institute turns 100 years old on February the 19th. And then at Police Services Board, which happened today, it was our first one of the year, we had an election and we re-elected Chris Garapi, who is the provincial rep from Innisfil. He's been re-elected as the chair of the Police Services Board. And the public member from Bradford, Janice Christman, who's relatively new, she's been elected as vice chair of the group. So that's what I've been up to this week. So seeing that section over with, we'll go now to our consent agenda. So as usual, if something jumps out at you, please feel free to move it to committee of the whole for further discussion. A1, the special council meeting minutes dated January 14th. A2, the council meeting minutes dated January the 14th. B1, the Innisfil Heritage Advisory Committee meeting. Councillor Drodge?
I'd like to pull that to committee of the whole, please.
Thank you. B2, the Compensation Ad Hoc Committee meeting summary. C1, the Firefighter Protection Equipment and Supplies recommendation. I just want to say that's great news to get that grant and to be able to get that equipment to help protect our firefighters. We had no staff reports for information. E1 is the bylaw to the town of Innisfil to declare the property known as 19 Queen Street in Innisfil as surplus. And F1 is the council discretionary grant for the Uplift Black March break programming. G1, under correspondence for information, is a proclamation for Black History Month, which is the month of February. And H1 is the notice of motion regarding changes, Bill 68 and changes to OMERS governance. I'm not going to go through all that. It's long and tedious, just to say that it's some work that AMO is advocating for, that they're concerned that these changes in governance will impact particularly municipal employers that are enrolled in the OMERS program. Seeing none, then we'll go just to that one item that's been pulled. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please, for the consent list recommendation? Moved by Councillor Zanella, seconded by Councillor Ices. All those in favor? That's carried. And a motion to resolve into committee of the whole. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Richardson, seconded by Councillor Drodge. All those in favor? That is carried. And we'll go to item B1. Maybe I'll start, if that's okay. If you want to put it on the floor first, that would be.
So my seconder's Councillor Saunders. So if you like, I just want to ask a general question. So I'd like to know what the current heritage restrictions are on 19 Queen Street and what putting a heritage easement agreement on that address, what that entails. If you can give me a brief explanation.
Director Lee?
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. I wasn't sure if you'd like me to respond to those before your comments. Okay. So thank you for the question, Councillor Drudge. So currently 19 Queen Street is located within the Cookstown Heritage Conservation District. And we define all of the properties in that district in categories A, B, C, or D. A, B, and C categories are considered contributing to the heritage value, and they meet a minimum of 2 categories under the Heritage Act. Category D is non-contributing, so they don't meet enough of the heritage attributes to be considered as significant. So the property at 19 Queen Street is currently in a category B, so it is in the contributing category. And within that, within the Heritage Conservation District Plan and Design Guidelines, there are heritage protections in place in terms of a heritage alteration permit requirement, either for any alteration to the building or any potential demolition of the building. That would require the completion of a heritage impact assessment, and it would require a decision of council on that application. So those are the measures that are in place for any type of a contributing property, such as 19 Queen Street. The heritage easement essentially would be an additional protection on the property, and we do have a few of those in the municipality, specifically in terms of some properties that are up for redevelopment in the Alcona area. But essentially, they're an additional agreement that's registered on the title of the property in terms of the protection of the building until such time as it is redeveloped. But really, there are protections in place in terms of the process that would have to be gone through with a Category B, so it would feel like an additional measure beyond the protections that are already in the guidelines. I'm not sure if that answers the question sufficiently.
No, that totally does. I think I'm just going to leave it to the rest of my council members here to ask their questions, and we'll see where it goes. Thanks.
Thank you. I just had a couple of points. The first one I wanted to highlight is that many of you know that I'm the owner of a property, 21 Queen Street, which is directly adjacent to 19 Queen Street. But I wanted to, so I did reach out to the Integrity Commissioner the very first time we discussed this at council and asked whether or not I should be declaring a conflict on this item. And he told me that no, I did not require to declare a conflict on this unless I was interested in purchasing it, which I am not. So, so that's why I hadn't declared on this item. The other thing I wanted to point out was in the minutes, and now of course that I'm looking for it, I can't find it, but in the minutes it referred to the property, it referred to the property that was demolished, which is the property next door, as 15 Queen Street, and it should actually be 1517. It was 2 addresses. One piece of property that had 2 civic addresses on it. So just wanted to make that revision to the summary. Any other questions or comments on this item? Councillor Saunders.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wonder, is there a property value? Will it be increased or decreased if it changes from heritage to a heritage easement to the potential buyer? Do we know that answer?
Director Lee.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. Through to Councillor Saunders. I'm not an appraiser, so I'm not sure I could give you the real estate answer to that. What I would suggest is there are protections in place currently under the Heritage Conservation District that will already have an impact on an appraisal and purchaser, that they know a process they would have to go through in Cookstown, which would be no different than in other contributing properties. But the additional easement agreement that's registered and the terms of that would be an additional consideration for anyone purchasing the property.
Thank you. And then I guess the other thing that I would point out on this as well is during the discussion, or what I read in the summary, was some of the concern was due to the fact that the other building had been demolished, and you know, they're worried because the building right beside it at 1517 was demolished. What was to stop it from happening to 19, and maybe that's why they thought it needed added protection. So could we just be reminded why or how the 1517 was allowed to be demolished?
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. So the property at 1517 Queen Street is in a Category D. So it was a non-contributing building to the Heritage Conservation District. So more limited preservation requirements for that category. It does allow for a heritage alteration permit and a heritage impact assessment to be received with that for consideration by staff in terms of the permissions for demolition. There are also requirements for when those applications are received and the timeline to consider those. This application, I believe, started back somewhere around 2021 from my recollection, but it was in that lower preservation category.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this? So I'm going to suggest that having that Category B and having that protection, and now we've learned that we need to, if we do receive an application for demolition, it needs to be addressed within that time period and not allowed to go longer, that I believe is enough protection for the building without putting an added layer of protection on top of that. And perhaps, I don't know, if I was about to buy a building and it had 2 layers of regulatory issues on it as opposed to 1, it might scare me away a bit, but I don't know. I just wondered if there's any, if council has any appetite to not add the easement, but just add the, just keep in the Heritage District Category B. Throwing it out there. Councillor Saunders.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd back you with that one.
Any other comments or questions on that, where people sit on that? Councillor Drodge, since you moved it, we'll let you have the final say.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, looking at it from the perspective that it is in a Category B and not a Category D, so it already does have more restrictions than, say, 15 and 17 Queen Street had originally, and because the time frame wasn't met, and that ultimately is what triggered the demolition of that property, I'm okay with leaving it as it is. It's part of a heritage district. The town was made a heritage district for these reasons, to protect these types of buildings, so I think the B rating covers all angles. So I would be okay with leaving it as it is and pulling out the easement agreement.
So Councillor Drodge, for the clerk's office, then you're suggesting you'd be okay with revising your recommendation to delete item or number 3?
Yeah, so yeah, my recommendation would be to remove item 3.
Okay, any final questions or comments on this? Councillor Ices.
I don't have a question about Queen Street, but I did have a a question on the St. James Cemetery. I was actually kind of surprised that this had not been designated in the past. So my question is on other cemeteries in the town, if they are protected, designated as well.
Thank you. I'll go to Mr. Jacob.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Councillor Ices, there is currently one other cemetery that is designated under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act. This would be the second one. There are certainly some that are considered to be town-owned and are maintained by the town, but as far as being designated under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act, there is only one, and that's the 6th line currently.
So then my question would be, as a follow-up, how many other cemeteries are there in the town? And I guess I don't really need to know that. My point would be that, is the committee looking at designating all of the cemeteries? I guess from my point of view, I think that would be appropriate. But I'm sure there's specific rules around that. But that would be my comment.
Yeah, Your Worship, through you to Councillor Ices, all the cemeteries have been identified and are currently listed on the town's heritage register. They're not designated, but they are listed. And the committee is currently going through properties before the end of the term, and they are certainly looking at those cemeteries.
Thank you, Mr. Jacob. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the recommendation? Any opposed? That is carried. And then we go to our RISE recommendation, I believe, do we? Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Zanella, seconded by Councillor Drodge. All those in favor? That is carried. And adoption of the recommendations from the Committee of the Whole, please. Moved by Councillor Saunders, seconded by Councillor Constantine. All those in favor? That is carried. There are no notices of motion this evening. And announcements from members of council, please. Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Worship. A couple games this weekend for the Innisfil Spartans. On Saturday the 31st at 7:30, they play Midland. And then on the February 1st, this Sunday, they play at 3:30 versus Aurelia. And there is a Catholic school challenge. And the challenge is the school that has the most fans in the stands. Who will it be? St. Andre Bicêtre, Holy Cross, or St. Francis? So a little healthy competition there. Also on February 1st, we have our annual breakfast with council for between 9 and 11. So encourage everybody to come out to that. And then on February 10th, the Ramadan event is being hosted at Town Hall. Those are my announcements.
Thank you. Councillor Constantine?
I don't have any.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson?
This Friday is PA Day fun at the Innisfil Idea Lab and Library. It's from 1:30 till 3. Also coming up with the Olympics, you can come and cheer on Team Canada from February 6th to 21st at the library. Schedules will be posted on social media. Also for the month of February at the library is Love Your Library campaign. So you can go fill out a heart and of what you love most about the library and how it makes your world better. On February 7th is Winter Fun Day at Town Square, always a lot of fun. Also, save the date. February 28th is the Radiant Roots Black Cultural Expo at the library from 10 till 3. And later that night is the coldest night of the year. I believe the council's going to have a walking team there. I'll be there and supporting. And then lastly, with the game that's happening on February 1st, go Team Francis, go Team St. Francis. That's a school that happens to be in my ward, so I'll be there cheering along with all the rest of the St. Francis families.
Thank you, Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Your Worship. This Friday, January 30th, is Euchre Night at the Lions Hall. On Sunday is the Kids Bingo, also at the Lions Hall. And then save the date for February 21st is the Polar Bear Dip at Innisfil Beach.
I hope it's a lot warmer than it is today. Councillor Zanella.
Thank you. On February 14th, Lakeside Dance is having their a special Valentine dance and wine date night. And that is $125 plus tax per couple. If anyone is interested, get in touch with Lakeside Dance. And next Tuesday, the 3rd, I will be going to the Georgian Theatre to see Cinderella along with a couple of my colleagues. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Councillor Saunders.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Legion Dance is February 7th, who's been moved to the Morgan Russell Arena. And as well with Innisfil Polar Bear Dip, it's Dip the Sergeant fundraiser, where Jeff Sargent at Arms and 3 other Legion members, Mike, Terrence, and Mehdi, are jumping in the lake to raise funds for the C4K funds and the Poppy funds as well.
Wonderful community spirit. Councillor Drodge.
Thanks, Your Worship. January 29th, there's a euchre tournament going on at the Taste of Europe from 6 to 9:30. Also, January 29th is 100 Men That Give a Damn having their inaugural meeting at Winging It at 7 p.m. January 31st, the Church of the United Church from 2 to 5 is having a Kids Fun Day movie and more. That's a free event. On February 7th, the Cookstown Community Group are putting off a dance. Also February 7th, the Guilford Hall is putting off their OG Bash. They both start, I think, at 7 p.m. On February 8th, a Taste of Europe is having a lunch and a meeting with a medium. So if you want to talk to a medium and ask what your future's going to hold, that's taking place from 2 to 4. Thanks. Oh, and one more thing. And at South Simcoe Theatre on February 20th to March 8th, they are hosting the play, The Gravitational Pull of Bernice Trimble. And that is at 7:30 p.m. and Sundays at 2 p.m.
Thank you for that. I'm hearing really good things about those rehearsals, so I think it's going to be a good one. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Worship. The other night, many council went to the Legion for the Paws and Boots on the Ground graduation for the dog training that they had with their students from the Interior Shores. It was really incredible to see people step up in that regard. And upcoming on February 8th, at the Innisfil Community Church, they're having a Super Bowl watch party with a chili bake-off starting at 5:30. So if you want to come down, have some chili, watch the game, just sit and relax and see it on the big screen, it's a good place to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just have a couple more on yesterday, January 27th. The flags were flying at half-staff here at Town Hall as we acknowledge International Holocaust Remembrance Day and honor the memory of the 6 million lives that were lost. Someone already mentioned the winter weekends. Looking forward to seeing everybody at the pancake breakfast. And just a couple of local people that we've lost recently. The former mayor of Springwater, Don Allen, he sat on Springwater Council. He was deputy mayor from 14 to 18, and then mayor from 18 to the 22nd, or to 2022. And our deepest condolences to his wife, Wanda, and family. And also very, very saddened to hear of the passing of Ron Henderson. Ron was a councillor in ESSA for 25 years. and last sat in 2018, and there's going to be a celebration of life for him this coming weekend. So looking forward to going in and meeting up with many old residents there. And sorry, Clerk Marshall will remember Mayor Allen. So thank you. Any other business for the corporation? Seeing none, I would ask for a mover and a seconder for confirming bylaw and adjournment, please, at 8:19 p.m. Moved by Councillor Waters and seconded by Councillor Richardson. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much, and have a good rest of your evening, everyone. Good night.